Grand Prix. In third place, Max Verstappen. In second place, Carlos Sainz, and taking his third win of this 2024 campaign and the 8th victory of his Formula One career, our winner, Charles Leclerc. Charles, it was some race by you and Ferrari. Can you start by just summing up how good this victory feels?
Oh, it feels really good, as every victory feels special for its own reason. And obviously, from the start, I felt really good with the car. I was quite confident from yesterday because even though there were quite a lot of fights yesterday, the car felt great, and we knew that we had a good race pace. We were a little bit more skeptical about qualifying, but P4 was good. I mean, we were in that far of P1, and then after that start, when I got out of turn one into first, I knew that it was all about trying to use the pace of the car that we had yesterday and trying to take care of those tires, and the car felt great. So from that moment onwards, it was a bit of a lonely race, but it's a good kind of lonely, and I hope we can reproduce that in the future.
Can you tell us a little bit more about turn one, lap one, from your point of view?
I mean, I knew that Max and Lando would be very aggressive towards each other. I mean, they are fighting for the championship, and I got a good start. I saw that Max was going towards the inside as well, Lando. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna prepare the exit of the corner, which was obviously a winning bet. And from that moment onwards, then I could focus on my own race.
Let's talk a little bit about the pace of the Ferrari now. You were quick all weekend. Just how much can you achieve between now and the end of the season?
I wish I could tell you exactly, but it's always difficult because we rely on very small differences that could, very, very small gaps that could make a big difference. So it's very difficult to predict where we will be in the next few races. However, we've said since 2 or 3 races, in Monza, in Baku, in Singapore, we brought few upgrades, and we were always waiting for Austin because it was going to be the real test for those upgrades, and it seems to be working all good. So that is positive for the future. It doesn't mean that we'll be having every next Sunday the way it's been today, but it means that we are working in the right direction, and that can only be positive. So I hope we can reproduce these kind of results more often.
You're working in the right direction, but is there one particular area that the car is better here?
Quite a few. I think like 5-6 races ago, we were struggling a little bit with bouncing, and that doesn't seem to be the issue anymore. So for sure that went in the right direction again.
What about the Constructors' Championship? Ferrari just 8 points behind Red Bull, 48 now behind McLaren. Is anything possible?
I mean, we've got to target winning the Constructors' title. It's an optimistic goal, but that's what we are here for. So we'll do the math at the end of the season. Until then, I think the best thing we can do is to focus on ourselves, on our own performance, just like we did this weekend. It's been a really good weekend for the team and for the constructors title, and we'll try and reproduce that as often as possible. And hopefully, at the end of the year, when we do the math, we will have won the constructors title.
All right, very well done today. Thank you, Charles. Carlos, let's come to you. A brilliant weekend as well. Tell us what this Ferrari 1-2 means for you, first of all.
Well, first of all, congrats to the whole team. Congrats to Charles for a great win. And I think everyone needs to be very happy and very proud of this weekend, and of how we've recovered from a tricky middle part of the season to suddenly put ourselves in a position to dominate the race like we did today, and to be clearly the fastest car on track come race day. And I'm very happy to see this, and I hope it repeats itself from here until the end of the year, because it would be really nice to get another win before the end of the season.
Your race didn't seem quite as straightforward as Charles. At one point, you reported no power early in the race. What was the issue? Did it hold you back?
Yeah, it wasn't the easiest of starts. First, getting a bit blocked with Max and Lando going at it for the championship into turn one. Then I was attacking Max on his DRS, trying to put as much pressure as possible. And then for a lap, I had some sort of issue that meant that I had very little power at the exit of the corners. That made me lose a couple of seconds, and most importantly, the DRS with Max. And then you are in that 1.5, 2 second, 3 second gap that is the worst for tires and car balance. which meant I just had to settle until the pit stop windows. And then, we managed to get the undercut. We boxed really early for that hard tire, but from then on, I felt really comfortable, very confident, and we were very quick again. So, a bit gutted that we were so quick all weekend, and we obviously didn't end up getting the win, but at the same time, Charles did a great job and a great start to put himself in the position to win it.
Was there any point in the race when you thought the win was on?
Not really. If I'm honest with you, as soon as I saw Charles simply won, then I saw that Max couldn't keep up with Charles. So probably by the time, if I knew that if I couldn't pass Max in the first 3 laps, it was going to be game over, because then Charles and I were always very close in pace. Maybe there's one race or two where he's 1 or 2 tenths quicker in race day. Another race where I'm maybe a bit quicker, but it just means that track position around any Formula One track is key. And after that start, and especially having a car in between us and not being able to pass Max within the first 5 laps, I knew it was going to be very, very tough. Then, honestly, with a hard tire, yes, I caught up back some time, but I was just more pushing to see my pace and to see how good I was feeling this weekend, because I was enjoying, a lot driving the car this weekend, and I knew I was quick.
Charles says the team must aim at the Constructors' Championship now. With that in mind, which circuits do you think will suit the Ferrari going forward? What about Mexico next weekend?
If I would have to bet, I would say Mexico and Vegas are our good tracks based on last year. I'm basing myself a bit on last year. This year, everything seems a bit different. Then I think Qatar is going to be a bit our bogey track, if I would have to bet again my money. And then Abu Dhabi, I'm not sure. what we can achieve in Abu Dhabi, but let's see. I just hope this pace shows itself again before the end of the season and gives me another chance of going at it.
All right, very well done to you as well. Max, let's come to you now. Great job. You had to work hard for this podium. Can we start by talking about the pace of the car? You've now done a 56-lap race. Are you happy with the step forward that the RB20's taken this weekend?
I think today wasn't the best race for us compared to yesterday, for example. Just struggling for balance, for grip. Couldn't really brake, rotate the car. Quite quickly onwards, I realized that we're not going to win the race, but just tried to do my own race. I think we did the best strategy we could as a team. And then it was, just surviving to the end. And then, of course, Lando arrived. We had some really good battles, honestly. It was really a lot of fun. But, overall, it was still quite a tough race for me.
What about the first stint? If I could just reference a radio message that GP mentioned to you. He talked about there being an issue that they would sort at the pit stop. What was that?
No clue. I didn't ask. I just drove.
And it was a very short pit stop, so it seemed like it didn't hold.
Yeah, I didn't ask yet, so I don't know.
All right. Can we just elaborate a little bit on battle with Lando? 2 significant moments in the race. Turn 1, first of all. Turn 1, lap 1. Talk us through that.
There was a gap on the inside, so I went for it. That corner is very wide, so it gives you a lot of opportunity of going very wide or try to go really tight. I chose for that option, and I still came out second. Started second, came out second out of turn 1, but this time, of course, and it was Charles in front. I think it worked out quite well for me because Charles was anyway faster, so he just pulled away, and from there onwards, I just tried to do my own race.
And then in the latter stages, when Lando was gaining on you on fresher tyres, how confident were you of staying ahead?
I just tried to do as I could, to be honest. My balance wasn't great. I was, just not really, I was not able to attack the corners. So, he was put on track to defend. There are a lot of possibilities. So, it makes it good for racing.
And what about the moment, 4 laps to go? Can you just talk us through the moment he came around the outside?
Yeah, I think it's quite clear you can't overtake outside of the white line. I mean, I got done for it also here in, I think, 2017 or whatever it was. So I lost my podium like that. So I was, just remain calm, tried to do the best I could after that to bring the car, because it was not easy with the tires and the situation that I was in. But overall, I still really enjoyed that battle that we had.
Max, there were a lot of 5-second penalties today issued at turn 12, cars going around the outside. Is there a solution going forward? Perhaps a gravel trap as was introduced in Austria? Would that work?
I mean, it might help, but we have to deal with bikes as well that race here. They don't like the gravel, so then you have to remove it again. Track days, people spinning off, of course, on track days. You have amateur drivers, professional drivers. It does cost a lot of money when you have to do that, and not every track can do that, throughout the year. So yes, it would work, but on the other hand, I'm not sure how sustainable that is for the season.
Okay, look, final one from me. Just how satisfying is it to have extended your championship lead this weekend?
That is definitely the positive. I did hope for a little bit more performance today, so that's what we have to analyze. Why today we were just not that good. Was a little bit better, or at least the same as yesterday, and it felt like we were definitely worse. So I need to understand why that was, because I don't know at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Max. Right, let's open this to the floor. As ever, name and publication, please.
Philip Leary, motorsport.com for Max. As you say, Lando overtook you off the track, but obviously McLaren will argue that you also went off, so you kind of forced him to. Do you sympathize with that position?
No, I don't. I mean, they complain about a lot lately anyway, but it's very clear in the rules. Outside the white line, you cannot pass. I've been done for it as well in the past.
Thank you, Max. Another one, please.
Ben Waterworth, Raw Sports Australia. For Charles, you obviously talk about the Constructors' Championship being a target for Ferrari for yourself. 79 points, Max, with 5 rounds to go. A bit of a long shot, but if Max and Lando keep fighting the way they are, do you kind of look at a sneaky chance of the Drivers' Championship at all?
I mean, never say never. Let's say that for the constructors, if we do everything perfect until the end of the season, no matter what McLaren does, if we do better than them, I think we can still clinch that title. With the drivers, I see it a bit in a different way. Even if we do everything perfect, I feel like it will require a little bit of luck to try and get that title, and we cannot really rely on luck. So the driver seems to be quite unlikely, but again, I'll believe in it until it's mathematically impossible, but trickier.
Thank you, Charles. Yep, another one.
Luke Smith from The Athletic. For Charles and Carlos, I don't know if you've seen the incident between Max and Lando, but could I get your thoughts on it and the racing rules? Do you feel they're clear in Formula 1, what you can and can't do in battle?
I haven't seen any of it. I mean, I just saw the turn 1, which I think was fine. I mean, it's hard racing and everybody will try something like that anyway, so nothing to comment there, but I haven't seen any of the rest.
Yeah, I haven't analyzed it either. I think some things are, others are still a bit blurry to me. Let's put it like that. I think there was an example yesterday with Oscar's overtake, that for me was completely fine and very similar to anything that we've done between each other and on the sprint. And I felt like the penalty on Oscar yesterday was really, really harsh, and didn't go along with some guidelines that I thought were the way they were. So yeah, that penalty surprised me yesterday. About today, I have no clue because I haven't gone 5 seconds by 5 seconds penalty to see. So let's see.
Yeah, I agree with Carlos on Oscar's penalty yesterday. I also thought it was a bit too harsh. However, on the rules, I think they are clear. Sometimes the interpretation of the rule can be a little bit different because it will be impossible to have a rule book that takes every single scenarios. Every scenario is different, its particularity, and you've got to analyze it in a different way and interpret the rules in some ways for particular scenarios, which is what FIA is trying to do best. However, sometimes we disagree, and I think on the one of yesterday, it's something that we'll probably talk of in the next driver briefing.
Okay, thanks, both. Another one.
Mathieu Picon, motorsinside.com. Okay, question for Charles. We heard you during the race talking about plan A, B, and C. Was it always a goal to do a one-stopper, or did you adjust based on the gap you had on Max?
Yeah, we adjusted it. However, at one point, like at lap 15 or 16, we had quite a good gap. So we had the freedom to basically copy whatever Max was doing a lap later, because it's not like he hit us. So when you are in this situation, it's quite a lot less stressful, because you've just got to copy what the driver behind you does, and we had the gap to do so. So then it was more about mirroring what everybody was doing behind, more than actually come up with a different strategy at that time.
Thank you, Charles. Yep, another one.
Nathan Lisbon. Question about the Ferrari guys. Ravin was on the podium with you today. Strategy was kind of seen as a bit of a weak point a couple of years ago. Seems to have really taken a step forward with him. Could you just explain what he's been able to do in that role to kind of, I guess, just increase the confidence in those calls, and yeah, just the changes he's made since he's taken over? Thank you.
I mean, he's incredible. I have really a lot of trust in Ravin. He's done an excellent job. He's pretty young too for a position like that, but he's always super calm, and that's really needed. And he also manages the emotion super well, which maybe in the past was probably one of our weaknesses, speaking of strategy. And this has changed a lot with Ravin, and again, he's doing a really, really good job. So I think, we have a very strong track team at the moment.
Yeah, I think full credit now for Ravin and all the strategy team for the progress that's been made in Ferrari over the last couple of years. I think it's been important to see progress in that side, and there's been a lot of work being done behind the scenes, and obviously Ravin has played a fundamental role in that work. Like I've said many times, having a good car on race day always helps to make the strategy work. And I feel like this year, compared to last year, we have a very strong car on race day. The best example is today, a car that allows you to be the first one to box and still extend the hard tire and still be quick on the hard tire, and not be, because of being the first one to box, then degrading more than the others. That is something that I've struggled in the past, especially last year, a lot with that. And Singapore, I remember boxing in lap 14 out of 70 lap race or 60 lap race and still making it to the end. With any other car or with any other year that we've had where degradation and the car was weaker in the race, this wouldn't be possible. So making bold strategy moves on race day wouldn't be as easy, and you would look more crazy by doing them. And this year, having a car that degrades less the tires and makes you more competitive on race day also allows you more flexibility and better opportunities to play with the strategy.
Thanks both. Right, any more from the floor? Yes.
Taylor Palin, Motorsport Week. Question for Charles. Congratulations on the win. You mentioned in the first stint that you didn't want to be put under pressure once you came out of the pits. How much apprehension was there about a repeat at Baku? Thank you.
I mean, apprehension wasn't that big because I could see the gap, and the gap was like 10 seconds. So I knew that it was a lot. I knew that Carlos had stopped quite a bit before. Then I learned that Max stopped as well. So for me, there wasn't a lot of reasons for me to go still longer than that, because that would only bring them closer to me when I got out the box. And when you have cold tires, you don't want to have pressure from behind because you just want to bring the tires nicely up to temperature. So I didn't want to find myself in that scenario. So I made it clear to the team, but I think there was, at no moment there was, any scary thoughts or whatsoever. The gap was plenty.
Thank you. Any more? Yep.
Yeah, Kevin Lytle from the Austin American Statesman. When you guys left here last year, so much of the story was about the bumpy track. How do you rate it this year after the changes that were made?
I think there's been a massive step forward in parts where it's been resurfaced. I still think, though, that the first sector is apart from turn 1, that has also been resurfaced. Turn 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, there's still quite a bit of work to be done because it's still extremely bumpy. But apart from that, on the resurfaced parts, it's a lot better.
Yeah, much better in general. I think bumps are always going to be in Austin, and it's part of the track character, which drivers accept, and I think it makes a track a bit different compared to others. But there's certain bumps that will need to get work done every year, like the one in 3, 4, and 5. And sometimes I think it's turn 19 and breaking into turn 12 sometimes can get quite bumpy. But if the circuit keeps working at it, just to make sure they don't go crazy jumpy, then I think we're in a good place. But I don't mind certain level of bumpiness to a track.
Max, just your agree?
Yeah, I trust he said something very good. So. No, it's just, high speed. You don't want it to be super bumpy. It's dangerous.
All right. Thanks all. Any more? No more? We'll leave it there. Very well.